2 balls and a strike to count on Taylor. Reyes fires, swinging a drive, deep left field. This is way back. Walk the ball.
What's up, everyone? Welcome into DodgerHeads Live, presented by DodgerBlue.com, part of the Blue Wire Podcast Network. My name is Jeff Spiegel, joined tonight by Matthew Moreno in the Good Vibes Only Club. Matt, 9-0 Dodgers. How about this? 18 consecutive runs scored in this series by the Dodgers. The Dodgers 1 earned run in their last 20 innings pitched. Matt, all of the bad vibes, all of the bad injury updates, forget about them, baby. We're scoring 9 runs a game, and none of it's going to matter.
Yeah, it's the little engine that could Dodgers responding in a big way down in Atlanta to get a series split, which honestly heading into this was what I sort of expected, and it didn't go the way I would have thought of it. But hey, at the end of the day, it's 2 wins and 2 losses.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It was not pretty early. Let's just say that. I joked on Twitter that if the Dodgers offense did what the Braves offense did in the first 4 innings, I think there might have been a meltdown. I'm not sure we would have survived and made it to this show. But alas, the tables were turned. It was the Braves who were, wait for it, 0 for 10 with runners in scoring position through 4 innings, not through the game, through 4 innings. Yamamoto put a million guys in scoring position and then allowed none of them to score. And then the Dodgers ultimately break this one open in the 7th inning. So lots to get to here. We're going to get to the latest on Tyler Glasnow and where in the world he might be staying today and how much Dave Roberts knows about it. We're going to get some injury updates about Austin Barnes and who might be replacing him, both short-term. We already know that, but also long-term come postseason time. So lots to get into. We appreciate everybody joining us live, as always, on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter. This is Dodger Heads Live, presented by DodgerBlue.com. Lucas, we appreciate the super chat. Best Dodgers podcast around. We won on 4 hits. We're with you. We're with you. What was it? The second time, I believe they said in franchise history, 9 runs and 4 hits. And the last time was also in Atlanta.
Yeah, that's the crazy thing, is to not only do it a second time, but for it to come both instances since 1906, being in Atlanta, obviously against the Braves, is kind of funny. And the other, I think the first time was in 2021 or something, so it wasn't all that long ago. Crazy. So it was pretty recent. But to the other part of Lucas, you've been in here with us a lot recently. I know we do as many live shows for you guys as we can. We definitely, I can tell you for our entire staff, we appreciate you supporting us and the kind words. And I know you're not the only one. We've been getting a lot of those messages of people expressing how much they enjoy our live shows and listening to us after the fact, which I can't tell you all how much we appreciate it.
Yeah,
we get to do this with you guys, and it's a lot of fun. And so to get that positive feedback is certainly, it warms our hearts.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. We appreciate everybody. We appreciate everybody that watches live, listens to the podcast, watches on YouTube, reads DodgerBlue.com. It's the best time of year coming up. It may not feel like that every day as a Dodgers fan, but trust me, it's going to be a good season. Another super chat here from Jonathan. I heard Glasnow is now rehabbing with Danny Duffy. Allegedly, Danny Duffy, the person who may or may not exist, Matt, which that might make sense. Maybe that's why Dave couldn't tell us.
And I think we need to throw Cole Hamels into that mix too. It's a big, the trio is, secret planning and rehab process.
Yeah, Jimmy Nelson might be involved. There's reports Jimmy Nelson might be in the mix a little bit. So we love that. We love that, Jonathan. Nice new picture, by the way. You've updated your picture, at least since the last time I paid attention. Cardenas here. A gift to you guys for all the walks the Dodgers got gifted. Good win for the Dodgers still. Yoshi and the bullpen lights out. He's got Yoshi as the picture there. Yoshinobu Yamamoto. We're going to get into him, Matt. The box score looks pretty good. 4 innings, 4 hits, no earned, 3 strikeouts for Yamamoto. 72 pitches, kind of, right about where we expected him to be. I know some people were mad that he wasn't 6 or 7 innings, but where he's at in his rehab appearance, coming back from injury, I should say, kind of right about where we expected him to be. But a crazy start. Here's some scenarios that Yamamoto placed himself in. Bottom of the first, runner on third, 1 out, no runs scored. Bottom of the second, tell me if you've heard this before, runner on third, 1 out, no runs. Bottom of the third, single, double, runner thrown out at home, stranded at second with 1 out. And then in the fourth, to make things even more difficult, he gave up a leadoff triple and then went strikeout, infield ground out, line out. They were 0 for 10 with runners in scoring position. They had a runner at second, or third with 1 or 0 outs in every inning and did not score. They had a runner thrown out at home as well. I mean, talk about walking a tightrope, Matt, and somehow living to tell the tale.
Yeah, and what's interesting, you mentioned earlier that the Braves went 0 for 10 with runners in scoring position through the first 4 innings. That was obviously all against Yamamoto. And their one hit where it looked like they were going to score was going to come with Michael Harris at first base. So it wouldn't have been, it wouldn't have helped them in that stat specifically, which is kind of funny how baseball sort of worked out that way. But yeah, I mean, look, on one hand, like some of the walks and stuff, Yamamoto was getting squeezed at times. And that, in a perfect world, you would have liked to have seen him be a little bit more efficient. He was remarkably efficient last week in his first start. Dave Roberts had said tonight before the game going into it that, 5 innings, 75 pitches was basically going to be the normal progression, which he more or less got to with the pitch count. In a perfect world, like I said, the Dodgers do also value the actual like physical act of sitting in the dugout and getting up a 5th time for the inning. So, if he could have at least started the bottom of the 5th, that would have been nice. But certainly not the end of the world. The important thing is he looks good. And tonight he incorporated his slider a little bit. So to see him kind of still pitching well, he's progressing.
Yeah.
You can't really ask for much more through his first 2 starts after how long that he missed. Like both, even tonight, like they both have gone much better than I anticipated.
Yeah, Jonathan, thank you for the super chat. Says, love the work you guys are doing. Keep it up. We will. We appreciate that. As you were saying about Yamamoto, I mean, you look at the Savant numbers, 10 whiffs on 35 swings. That's a whiff rate of 29%, which is very, very good. 7 called strikes as well. So 24% of his pitches were either called strikes or whiffs, which is pretty good, especially all things considered where he is in the rehab process. I keep saying rehab. Obviously, he's at the major league level. The recovery process, the build-up process, whatever we want to call this. It's hard not to be encouraged. And I don't know, Matt, you tell me. Am I encouraged because anything is encouraging from the Dodgers starting pitching right now? Or am I encouraged because Yamamoto and even I would say Walker Buehler last night have given us a couple performances in a row that don't make me like, I'm not getting my World Series ring sized quite yet. But after what we saw the last couple days before that, after what we've heard on the injury front, am I crazy for being encouraged by Buehler last night and Yamamoto tonight?
Crazy. I don't know if I would. For me, I think there's reason to be hopeful that there's.
Okay. Thank you, Dave. We appreciate that, Dave.
Yeah.
With Dave Roberts hope or real hope? Which one do we want here?
He's been rubbing off on me. Where you could see like a path to maybe how this thing could work, right? Like Yamamoto start last week against the Cubs, like that was really encouraging, and that was before we knew, all the bad news that has now come down the past few days. So to see Yamamoto do it again tonight, like it's not surprising at this point. I don't say fine. That one you could be. I think that's encouraging. Yeah. You've seen him do it twice. Like I think he should continue to keep trending in the right direction, keep building up, get to, hopefully 6 innings around there, 5 1/3 in his next start, and then be fully built up for the playoffs.
Yeah.
With Buehler, encourage is a little strong because I think there's still a lot more things that need to go right for him. Even against the Braves, like credit to Walker for really limiting the damage, but like that was also very close to kind of going in the other direction very quickly.
1 inning.
So, a mistake here or there, like that we could be feeling a lot different, right? So, and again, like, yes, the Dave Roberts hopeful, like you could be hopeful, I think, with Buehler, because like I said, you could kind of see the foundation, the structure for how he could sort of piece it together and help the dot. Because look, like we've talked about, I mean, by all accounts, Walker Buehler is like arguably a game 3 starter in the NLTS right now.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Matty Man says cautious optimism. Some people do not like your word of hope. That's a non-Dave Roberts way of saying pretty much the exact same thing. And I think I'm with you. I think that's a perfect summary of where I'm at, in that, like, I feel like with Buehler and Yamamoto, I'm looking for different things. With Buehler, I'm looking for a floor. I'm looking for a guy that can battle, can grind through, and can just sort of keep games competitive. Obviously, he had 1 bad inning, which Austin Barnes, Gavin Lux did not do him any favors in, as per usual. It feels like nobody gets worse defensive luck than Walker Buehler, although walking 3 guys is completely on him. And so it felt like he was able to limit the damage. He was able to grind through it. I'm not expecting, 6 shutout from him in a big game, but if you can give me 5 innings and 2 or 3 runs, that's going to be, I'll take it. Yamamoto, just every time he pitches and comes out of it healthy and seems to, have the whiff rate, have the called strike swinging, called strike whiff rate that he did. Those are the types of moments that leave me, I think, cautiously optimistic is a perfectly fine word, phrase to describe that. So again, Yamamoto, 4 innings, 4 hits, no earned, 3 strikeouts. The Braves 0 for 10 in the first 4 innings with runners in scoring position. And then it went over to the Dodgers bullpen, which 8 scoreless innings from the Dodgers bullpen yesterday and today. Buehler gives them 6, Yamamoto gives them 4, and an entire cast of Dodgers pitchers, Phillips, Trinan, Hudson, and then 2 from Honeywell tonight, shut the door. And obviously this game was out of hand by the time Honeywell came into it, but in what was a tight game when Phillips and company came into the game, the bullpen, continues to be a strength, which is going to be desperately needed given the starting pitching situation.
Yeah, this is, the type of performance, it maybe not 8 innings per se, but this like the scoreless work and, not walking a bunch of guys. This is what the Dodgers are going to need from their bullpen through October, because they're outside of Flaherty and Yamamoto between the two. Like, you hope you could get 6 to 7 innings between the two of them. Outside of that, like, you're probably getting
8.
You can't really.
Oh, sorry, you were going to say something else.
Yeah, you can't really count on, I would say more than 5, right? Like guaranteed type thing that you would want to be able to bank. And so to see, these guys pitching well again, like it's what we saw earlier in the season. And when the bullpen is struggling, it's easy to get frustrated. And we've done plenty of live shows after games where, the starter leaves in a tie game and the bullpen gives up a bunch of runs, or the Dodgers are ahead and the bullpen blows the lead. The Dodgers bullpen as a whole has been pretty good this year.
Yeah.
And, it's only going to get better with Joe Kelly returning. And then
wait, what did you just say?
I was trying
Hold
to
on. I think I misheard you.
I mean, he's one of their regulars, right? So in theory, the bullpen should only get better with one of your regular contributors back from an injury.
He is, in fact, one of the regulars. This is true. The rest of what you just said is not true at all.
Well, hey, what time will tell.
Oh, man, the bullpen should only get better with Joe Kelly. Unbelievable stuff from Matthew Moreno tonight. He's on it. The good vibes only, baby. Good vibes only. Excuse me. I'm ruining the vibes there. That's on me. Okay, that's on me. Speaking of good vibes, Matt, I apologize that it's taken us 13 minutes to get to the player of the game conversation, and it's not really a conversation. I'm just going to roll out the red carpet for you to take a victory lap on your guy, Miggy Rowe, who everything when this game was close was dependent upon him. He walks, advances on a ground out, steals third, and then scores on a wild pitch in which he was basically 3/4 of the way down the line by the time the ball hit the dirt. I couldn't believe how fast he was at home. He scores on that one. In the top of the 5th, he gets an RBI single after Tommy Edman gets the first hit of the game. So he scores the first run, knocks in the second run, scores a run in that inning as well. So Miguel Rojas, hard not to hand him the player of the game. So I'm just going to give you space. Let this one breathe a little, Matt.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, a veteran player knowing how to win a baseball game with the team and being a leader for the Dodgers. You don't want to come out of Atlanta losing 3 out of 4. And so Rojas said, hey, guys, like,
I got this.
Yamamoto took care of the pitching side. I got the offense. Just follow my lead. But in all seriousness, he's had a great season, and we kind of joke about Rojas here and there, but in reality, like, where would the Dodgers be without what he's given them this year? And that's, one, allowing Mookie Betts to go back to right field, which at least fit like the physical demands of playing shortstop. You could argue, like, were they taking its toll? I think the production sort of suggested that it was, despite everybody saying no, it wasn't. And at the very least, Mookie did miss a bunch of time, and Rojas filled in admirably, and he's continued to play well. So, credit to him. Obviously, Freeman's 3-run homer made things a little bit easier and stuff like that. Teoscar had the RBI single. But yeah, Rojas seemed to have his hand on just about everything except the big defensive play, which credit to Tommy Edman and Kike Hernandez for pulling that off.
Yeah, it's true. Rojas, by the way, tonight finishes 1 for 1 with 2 walks and 3 runs before coming out of this game for Kevin Kiermaier. So, he just doing everything that the team needs, and then he gets to get off his feet.
Yeah, see, and that's why, like, you need your eye test. You need to be able to watch baseball. You look at that stuff, a computer spits out the box score and what he did. You wouldn't get the full impact without really watching Miguel Rojas tonight.
Well, Duff Time in the comments stole something right out of my notes here. Miguel Rojas is batting 297, which many people may not care about that stat, but we all know one person who does. It's the man to my, to my left. And he is tied with Mookie Betts in the batting average category. Only Tommy Edman has a higher batting average. Of course, Edman's played in like 12 games. So highest batting average on the team. I think, Matt, what we really need to be talking about is why is he batting 7th and why is he not batting higher? The highest batting average on the team. What are we doing here?
Yeah, I think that is just Miggy Rowe accepting his role on the team and saying, hey, I'll help, lengthen out the lineup and maybe, help the bottom third of it sort of turn it over for the big MVPs.
Yeah, it's nice of him. Nice of him. John Bleeding Blue says, good old reliable Miggy Rowe, player of the game. Look, we'll be honest. He has not been good old reliable Miggy Rowe offensively in the past, but Matt called the resurgence, the breakout. It was just a young guy that just needed an opportunity. Some were saying, and at 35 years old, he's having his offensive breakout, Matt.
Yeah, I mean, the writing was on the wall. If you know ball, you could see that this was coming.
Only ball knowers saw things coming from Miguel Rojas. Again, the Dodgers win this game 9-0 behind Miguel Rojas, behind the bullpen, behind Yoshinobu Yamamoto's 4 shutout innings for the Dodgers. We mentioned how Rojas had the RBI single and then scored to make it 3-0 in the 5th. The top of the 7th is when this thing went sideways for the Braves. They load the bases. The Dodgers do with just 1 out. Ohtani grounds out, but the throw home is too late. Makes it 4-0. Mookie Betts sac fly, 5-0. Teoscar Hernandez RBI single to make it 6. And then Freddie Freeman with a welcome home present in Atlanta bounces one off the top of the wall in the left field corner to make this one 9-0. Again, I opened the top. 18 consecutive runs scored by the Dodgers to close out this series. 9-2 last night, 9-0 tonight. The bullpen, 8 scoreless innings. Pitching as a whole, just 1 earned run in their last 20 innings. And the Dodgers do get the split, which after Friday and Saturday, I don't think anybody was penciling themselves in for a split given who was on the mound for the Braves these last 2 games in Morton and Fried, who aren't like unbelievable, amazing guys, but against Walker Buehler and Yamamoto in his second start back, you didn't really know what to expect. But shout out to the Dodgers, rallying, rebounding. We talk a lot about culture and the clubhouse. Clearly, this is a group that was ready to battle back. This wasn't a group that was going to score all their runs last night, Matt, and try and win 1-0 tonight. 18 runs in about 10 innings is pretty dang good.
Yeah, and I think what we'd be remiss to not acknowledge it. The Dodgers are undefeated since Dave Roberts had his clubhouse meeting with the team. So give Dave credit for the pulse and having a feel of, hey, I need to talk to these guys. And I think that is the type of fire that a lot of people who join us on a regular basis for these shows have said Dave Roberts needs to show. So let's give him some credit for recognizing this is a big moment in our season. Let me talk to the guys, get them locked in, and we'll come out of here with a split. And now on to Miami.
So we're Dave Roberts' extension incoming. Is that what you're saying, Matt?
Not yet, but I mean, he's not going to get fired after the playoffs, regardless of what happens.
Oh, here we go. Matt's just here for it. He's running the Twitter account. He's trolling people on the Twitter account, calling Francisco Lindor the NL MVP frontrunner. He comes on here.
There's a question
pro
mark
Joe Kelly,
with that.
pro Dave Roberts. He's just a man of the people tonight.
The Lindor thing had a question mark because that's what I think people are calling him. So that's what it was referring to, was what other people are referring to Francisco Lindor as.
Yeah. Hey, good vibes only, Matt. I said good vibes only. You're bringing the good vibes only. Positive Dave Roberts vibes, clubhouse culture, 18 runs in 2 games, win 2 in a row. Injuries, none of that stuff bothers these guys, Matt. They're ready to go, getting ready for a series against the Marlins. As we speak right now, I believe the Dodgers have a 4-game lead on the San Diego Padres. They have a 5.5-game lead over the Arizona Diamondbacks. So good news there. The Padres, of course, still playing, and I believe the Diamondbacks are still playing as well. So by the time some of you may be watching this after the fact, that might not be accurate anymore. But as I'm saying it right now, I believe it's 4 games over the Padres, 5.5 over the Arizona Diamondbacks. Matt, before we move on to some of the news stories of today, anything else from this game or from this series in particular that you feel like warrants mention? I mean, I'll just looking through, Shohei Ohtani did not have a good series necessarily here. Another 0 for 4 for him tonight. Mookie Betts 0 for 3. We mentioned 9 runs on just 4 hits, in part because of 7 walks drawn by the Dodgers. Anything else jump out to you?
Yeah, the Otani, like I text you guys, the Otani thing when he finishes with 49.50, that's going to be painful because he's
Good
gone into
vibes
a
only,
little bit of a
Matt. You
low.
just
Oh, that's right,
ruined it.
that's right.
That's the bad
Okay,
vibe.
here I take that back. I see Laura's in here. She's been asking you and I think even Scott and Blake about Dodgers like coming from behind and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So the Dodgers have 37 come from behind wins this season, and that's tied most in the National League.
Yeah, I
So
think we Well, and I think you and I talked about this because this might have been on Sunday. Was it? I don't know.
I've
Whatever the
lost
last
track
show
of
we
it.
did.
It was a day that ended in Y. I know that.
There we go. We were there for that one. But we were joking about how that number is high, but it's also because they just have a lot of wins. So it's sort of a, how many times did they not come from behind, etc.
Here's the other one. I know Laura's been asking us about when they're trailing by multiple runs, I think, or like if they're down maybe 3 or 4 runs. I don't know what her question is, but this stat is the best winning percentage when trailing by multiple runs. Now, admittedly, it's not great. They're just 19 and 49, but that winning percentage is second best in the majors. Now, the caveat to this is when this stat was pulled on Sunday night, the Padres are 22 and 55, which is the best winning percentage when trailing by multiple runs this season, which obviously still isn't great, but I think it just sort of speaks to the overall of, hey, like if teams, start to fall behind by 2, 3, 4, 5 runs, like it is hard to come back. But the reality is, I know it doesn't always feel like it, which we've discussed. The reality is the Dodgers are ranked, like they are very high in coming from behind. And I know we shared some of the other stuff of when they're trailing after 6 innings and 7 innings and things like that. Like you don't get to however many wins they have right now without, some comeback victories mixed in there.
The Dodgers, as it currently stands, I believe, have somebody's asking about magic numbers. I believe the magic number to getting the 2 seed is down to 11 after the win tonight. The magic number to winning the division is down to 9. So 9 is the magic number for the Dodgers to win the division. 11 is the magic number for them to get the number 2 seed. Obviously, the number 2 seed is a battle with the Milwaukee Brewers. The division is a battle with the San Diego Padres. Matt, did you want to share anything else? Any other thoughts that you had about where the Dodgers might want to land themselves? I'm not trying to air your dirty laundry here.
No,
but,
that one was more of a joke. Of hey, I wasn't impressed by the Braves this past weekend. Maybe again, this is a joke. That maybe the Dodgers should just accidentally slip to the 3rd seed. That way they'll hopefully play the Braves in the wild card series and win themselves a series in October after being bounced in the first round the past 2 years.
It's amazing. It's amazing. Blake's going to clip out the part where you said this is a joke, and then you're going to say they should just lose and get to the number 3 seed. So there you go. I see some people in the chat saying, as we currently record this, the Rockies and Diamondbacks are currently tied 2-2, while the Padres are up 1-0. David, we appreciate those updates. Let's get to a couple news stories, Matt, that are of note. The first one, where in the world is Tyler Glasnow? I think it's a fair question that we could be asking ourselves, given the last couple days of bizarre Tyler Glasnow updates. We had a video this morning where we kind of recapped the entirety of the Tyler Glasnow saga. If you missed that, here's a quick recap. August 16th, Tyler Glasnow is placed on the injured list. Glasnow comes out and says, hey, this isn't necessary. I feel fine. Then he starts his throwing program. However, it's delayed because during his first throwing session, there's a setback. Late August, he's playing catch. He starts to ramp up. They schedule a simulated game. He's warming up for the simulated game. And then it's canceled due to elbow discomfort. Saturday, it is announced that he has a sprained elbow. This after Friday night, Dave Roberts said the MRI scans were promising. And then we fast forward to Sunday, and Dave Roberts is asked about Tyler Glasnow, and he says, I have no idea where he is. I don't know what he's doing. Today, we get the classic Dave Roberts correction. This via Bill Plunkett. Dave Roberts says he has exchanged texts with Tyler Glasnow, emphasized it is, quote, an excused absence. I love the language. It's like 5th grade. Roberts knows where he went, didn't think it needed to be public information. Glasnow will rejoin the team in LA for the homestand. The absence does not involve getting his elbow examined. So when Dave Roberts says, I don't know where he is, what he meant, Matt, was I know where he is.
Yeah. And I mean, I guess silly, our mistake. We should have known that considering how a lot of injury updates have gone this season. We should have read into that. Look, I for starters, I never took I don't know if other people did. I never took this as when Glasnow left the team that it was like he stormed out and it wasn't like, as Dave put it, like an excused absence type thing.
Yeah.
Uh, what I still don't get is how we go from Dave Roberts on what day is it? On Sunday saying, right? Was it Sunday that he said?
Friday was the scans were promising.
Well, that I mean, yes, that's a complete mess. That whatever. Like
Sunday was he didn't know where he is. Monday is
Sunday.
he knew exactly where he was the whole time.
Yeah, that's what I don't fully understand. And I'm not saying this from the standpoint of I think Dave Roberts needed to sit up there on Sunday and say, yes, Tyler Glasnow left. Yes, Tyler Glasnow went to Camelback
exactly.
Ranch in Arizona. Like, we didn't need that information, but I think to say, like, yes, he has left, but I don't know where he is, like, that's going to cause a stir. And Dave knows that. Like, he's been around long enough, and maybe it was just he wanted to protect his player and put his foot in his mouth.
But he made Glasnow look worse. Like, he didn't protect Glasnow, because when a guy doesn't talk to the media for 2 days and then disappears, and the manager basically says in the clearest terms possible, hey, he left and didn't tell anybody where he was going. Like there's no other way to interpret what Dave said. Now, Dave came back today and said, oh, it didn't need to be public information. To your point, like, then just say, hey, you know what? Tyler's away from the team. We gave him permission. It's all you need to know. It's
Right.
not, that's like the simplest thing. This isn't rocket science to figure out how to thread this needle, Dave. And yet he screws it up. He tries to backtrack today. I mean, look, it's a joke trying to understand what Dave means when he's telling the truth, when he's just saying dumb things on accident. But if we're taking him at his word yesterday and reading between the lines, Matt, it's hard not to interpret this as a personal decision made by Tyler Glasnow. I would say, especially in light of how Glasnow has basically contradicted every Dodgers report about him since August 16th, when he went on the injured list and says, it's no big deal, I'm fine. And then, oh, I'm fine. Oh, the scans are fine. All that stuff. And it's like, I don't know. I'm not saying, like, I don't know what to say beyond that, other than this whole setting doesn't necessarily make Glasnow look awesome.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And I can see how, those are dots that could be connected. I haven't been around, obviously this is Glasnow's first season with the team, so I haven't been around him enough to like fully gauge like the personality, the type of person he is, and that to say like, no, I don't think he would just take off on the team. All that being said, like, I don't think he would just go AWOL. I think there's like with the players union, the CBA, like, I don't think you can just do something like that. But yeah, I mean, the scenario you laid out would appear to be probably the more likely one.
Yeah.
Like, because again, like, I don't know how Dave, I don't know. I as I start to say it, then I remember that Dave Roberts also told us that the first update on the first scans were promising, and then the next day, he has not only that he has an elbow sprain the next day, but that he's done for the year, playoffs included. So
can you have my back, by the way? Because when we finished that show, I turned to you and said, 2 p.m. tomorrow, we're getting these out for the season update. And it was like 2:06, the tweet came across, and I was like, nailed it.
Yeah, you definitely called that one. It wasn't something I didn't expect that. I thought if anything, they would try to like kick the can down the road. But I mean, hey, if he's maybe they knew that he was upset and he was going to be leaving. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, there are multiple layers, multiple ways to look at this. But yeah, the whole situation is bizarre. I think the other interesting sort of aspect too is that Glasnow, he left the team, but it's not to like get his elbow looked at even further, which I think is a little odd right now. I know that Dave, he was asked about surgery when he was first discussing out for the season type thing. And he said that's not really on the Dodgers' radar right now. They're not thinking about that, which I kind of get, but also like, why not? But hey, just the bottom line, and I know the super chat just went up, so we could get to that, is you feel bad for Glasnow ultimately.
Yeah. 300 GJW. Wonder if Tyler needed some time away. He's got to be beyond frustrated, maybe some emotional stuff to deal with. And I'm with you here. Like, this is what Daniel and I spoke about this morning. And I'm always trying to remind myself of the human aspect here, is that we sometimes hold these people to a standard that I don't know if it's fair to expect a human being to be perfectly stoic and perfectly like responsive in one of the most difficult moments of his career. Because again, if this does end up with some sort of surgery, go look at the statistics about guys like Walker Buehler going through like a second major elbow surgery. It's not great. Not to mention, you finally have the most starts in your career, the most innings in your career. Your team is headed to the postseason. You have a chance to be the guy on your home team, going to try and win a World Series, and all that's taken away from you. And so I have the utmost sympathy for that. That said, I still think you need to stand in front of the media at some point and answer some questions. And it doesn't need to be much. It can just be, hey, we don't have answers for all this. It sucks. It hurts. Like Walker Buehler went out, got, excuse my language, his ass kicked multiple times, and then answered questions post-game in what would be a far more embarrassing, a far more humiliating moment when he has to just stand up there and say, I don't have it. I don't know what to tell you. I stink. Kershaw, same thing. Like these guys go out there and they just say, yep, this is my job. It sucked. It sucks to be here. It sucks talking to you. Like that's the one part of the Glasnow piece that I think I'm most frustrated. I don't mean to harp on it, but that's kind of my only sort of pushback against the like all of this part of, yeah, he's human. Yes, all that. But you still need to answer questions.
Yeah, I think that that's fair. And I think that it also applies to somebody like it's even more relevant for somebody in Glasnow's position of, hey, like you're a frontline ace, like you're a leader of the pitching staff, this and that. Like there's more expected of you.
Yeah.
And Fabian Ardaya, who, you know, we've had on here, I've gotten to know over the past few seasons since he switched to the Dodgers beat. Like he did tweet that he approached Glasnow in the clubhouse and he said, oh, like I'll be back. This was Saturday night.
Jeez, that's
and
awful.
then never returned. And obviously on Sunday, his locker was cleared out. So if Glasnow had just never been in the clubhouse and didn't see anybody, like, okay, fine. He just wasn't around. He's upset. Like that's a little bit different, right? Than saying like, no, I don't have time right now. I'll be back. And then just never showing up. But yeah, I mean, look, ultimately at the end of the day, like you said, you know, we feel bad for Glasnow. Like that. I can't imagine that this is easy. The other part is, look, he's also just, he's not available this year. So it is what it is. Like, there's from the team's perspective and their standpoint, like, don't want to be like cutthroat about it, but you don't have to put a ton of thought into him right now because he's not going to be able to really help you in October.
Yeah. 2025 maybe is the year of Tyler Glasnow contributing to the Dodgers. We'll see. Other piece of news here, Matt, the Dodgers got a big injury update, I guess, if you will. Austin Barnes to the injured list, multiple fractures in his toe. Hunter Fiducia called up to replace him on the roster. But I think it's a fair question, Matt. Is Hunter Fiducia the long-term playoff answer for the Dodgers at backup catcher, or is top prospect, now friend of Dodger heads, Dalton Rushing, possibly a guy to watch out for in the next couple of weeks?
Yeah, I mean, the fact that it was Fiducia getting recalled as the corresponding move for Barnes going on the IL makes sense and was expected. And I think, you know, at the time, this is Sunday night when Barnes came out of the game and they said, oh, you know, he took a foul ball, this and that. Like, I wasn't expecting him to have another fracture. Like, that's unfortunate. But I did think Dave did say Sunday that he would be going on the IL and it would be Fiducia. And that all made sense. Like, it's only going to be, you know, potentially 10 days again. Yes, let Fiducia do it. I'm looking at down the line, assuming the Dodgers like are going to make the playoffs, which actually they are. No, sorry, not assuming. They are going to make the playoffs. They're going to end up winning the NL West. I forgot we're going
positive
with
vibes only,
positive
baby.
vibes tonight. They're going to win the NL West, go into the postseason. At least at worst, they'll be the second seed, maybe end up with the best record in the NL. That still has to play out. But I'm sort of thinking, is there a scenario where Fiducia is not going to play if Barnes isn't available in the playoffs, which they haven't said one way or the other? The hope is that he will be right now. If he's not,
the hope is that he'll be available.
The team's hope is that he will be available.
I wanted to clarify what
the official report from the team is that, you know, hopefully he'll be available.
Hopeful. Got it. Promising are the scans promising? Would we say on Barnes's toe?
We haven't gotten that far yet. Let's say Barnes can't play in October, or at least even if if it's just the NLDS. Part of me feels like, do you give Dalton Rushing a chance? Because yes, crazy things can happen. And I guess if it does happen and you have to go to a catcher who's making his MLB debut behind the plate in the playoffs, like that could get dicey. I understand that. But Fiducia, like, and I know you have stats that are going to combat my argument.
Batting average, Matt. I'm going to even quote batting average for the record here. Go ahead.
I just sort of feel like, could you get more upside and play and potential from Rushing than Fiducia at the plate from a hitting standpoint?
Yeah. I mean, undoubtedly, like the answer, if you're trying for offensive upside, is absolutely Dalton Rushing. And this is coming from a guy who is very pro Hunter Fiducia. I think he'd be the backup catcher, if not the starting catcher on like half of Major League Baseball, if he were in an organization other than the Dodgers. The catch with Rushing is a couple things. First, he's been playing almost exclusively outfield in AAA of late. And so shifting him back to catcher, obviously a position he's very comfortable with, but this isn't a guy who spent a ton of time with the Dodgers pitchers at any capacity. He wasn't in spring training, or yeah, excuse me, he was in spring training. So, I mean, I guess half these guys weren't there during spring training. So what does that matter? Never mind. But the other piece to me is just of late, like Dalton Rushing's actually cooled off pretty significantly in AAA. Is it possible the end of a long season? The expectations are catching up with him. Since August 28th, he's just 9 for his last 52. That's Dalton Rushing. Fiducia, on the other hand, in the month of September, hitting 346, on base percentage over 400, slug of 462. And so Fiducia is actually a guy that has put up solid numbers. The one nice thing, I think, if I'm Dave Roberts, the one nice thing about this is he doesn't have to answer questions about who's catching who in the postseason if either of these guys is up, because Will Smith is just going to be playing every single day, which I know some people aren't too happy about, although the numbers have been better over the last couple of weeks. And so combining the fact that he hasn't played catcher in, a month at least, with the fact that he's also slowing down, I think it makes perfect sense for me that Fiducia is the guy who gets called up. Although I wouldn't be surprised if a guy like Rushing found his way onto the playoff roster just as a bat. Not even like, this might be the craziest hot take in the world. Like, I think you could have Fiducia and Dalton Rushing potentially on the postseason roster, where Rushing is not the catcher. Like, maybe he's a third catcher so he can come in and pinch hit, and then you've still got Fiducia in emergency situations. But like we were talking about Barnes and Smith and Rushing all making it. So I don't see a reason why Rushing and Fiducia couldn't also be there with Smith.
Yeah, and the Dodgers have done that before with was it Carlos Ruiz? I forget his first, I think was it Carlos? I know it was Ruiz.
Carlos Ruiz.
Yeah, when they carried 3 catchers in the playoffs. So it's something that they have done. I think from my standpoint, whether it's Fiducia or Rushing, like, and I'm seeing a lot of comments saying, that catching and pitch calling and stuff like that is magnified in the playoffs. I fully agree. Yep. Will Smith is going to start. If Barnes isn't available, I mean, Will Smith was probably starting every NLDS game anyway, and if they advance, probably 6 out of 7 in the NLCS type thing. But if Barnes isn't available, Will Smith is starting every NLDS game behind the plate. So to me, like, it's more of like, at that point, if something crazy happens and Fiducia or Rushing is pressed into emergency duty as a catcher, like, that's a toss-up for me. So I'm not looking at it from that standpoint. And either one of those guys, if they end up behind the plate, the pitches are going to be called by either whoever's on the mound or somebody in the dugout. Like, there's no way they're going to let one of their rookie catchers call pitches in the playoffs. I don't think.
Yeah.
So that's a wash, in my opinion. So like you said, like, for me, it boils down to, who are you going to potentially get more out of from maybe a pinch hit appearance, something like that. I thought Rushing, but as you laid out, like, he has cooled off at the plate, and I think that would be a factor.
Yeah. Right now, keep in mind the Dodgers have 14 position players up. By the time the postseason rolled around, that number would have to come back down to 13. And so you've got guys like Andy Pages, Dalton Rushing, Chris Taylor, I think are the 3 guys sort of competing for 2 spots there. Obviously, the Dodgers up until this point have clearly Kevin Kiermaier, is the other guy in that mix. So clearly Dalton Rushing, if he was going to be coming up for the postseason roster, I imagine they would want to get him at bats at the major league level. And so the fact that hasn't happened, the fact that a day like today isn't the day they choose to make that decision, maybe that says something. Or again, maybe they just view him as an outfielder, and so he wasn't even under consideration to be the backup catcher because his role moving forward in the short term is simply as a left fielder type of a bat. We'll see how that handles. But again, Austin Barnes to the injured list and remains to be seen. And to your point, the Dodgers are hopeful that this is not season ending for Austin Barnes. So stop us if you've heard that language before. All right. Well, that's the key updates. There was one other thing, and you and I didn't have this on our rundown, but it kind of got mentioned in the conversation we were having prior to. It's Gavin Stone. We knew he was not going to be throwing for a while. As far as we know, we have not gotten any update on what's going on with Gavin Stone. Is that fair, Matt?
Yeah, I have not seen anything. I know heading into Saturday and Sunday, the expectation, the wording from the reporters in Atlanta with the team was that he was going to throw, quote, like this weekend, which would have been Saturday or Sunday.
September 6th was the day when he was going to be shut down from throwing for 10 days. It is September 16th today.
Yeah. And that did surprise me when I saw it this week. And just not that he's like, quote unquote, ahead of schedule, but it was going to be, before kind of the 10 days that they said he wouldn't be throwing. So, maybe Dave Roberts sort of misspoke and it was more of this week. And that would be, after the 10 days, that would make more sense. Regardless, I mean, I think, it's going to be interesting to see what Gavin Stone, like if he's even able to come back and what he's able to give them. I mean, I don't anticipate him pitching during the regular season.
Yeah.
But if he's available for the playoffs, they're obviously going to take him because they don't have many other options.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. I've expressed my thoughts on Gavin Stone because this is a positive vibes only night. You can go back to a Friday night show or whenever the last time I was on with Matt and check out my thoughts on Gavin Stone as it relates to that. But let's get to some questions, folks. We appreciate over 2,400, almost 2,500 people in here live. We appreciate you for that. Skipping some Monday Night Football wasn't a very good game anyway, so thanks for being in here. The Dodgers beat the Braves 9-0. Thanks to everybody listening after the fact on Apple, Spotify, or Google on the DodgerHeads podcast or on YouTube, Dodger Blue 1958. We appreciate you as well. But let's get to some questions. If you've got some questions for us, throw those in there. We've got a super chat here from Jonathan Montgomery. He says, hope Bobby Miller stays in Atlanta to go to the John Smoltz Center for starters who can't pitch good and who want to learn to do other baseball stuff good too. There you go. So, I mean, I guess Glasnow is leaving Atlanta. Bobby Miller is staying in Atlanta. Is that the solution for our pitching problems, Matt?
Yeah, I mean, maybe. And look, I know we've discussed a lot of the frustration around Bobby Miller, and I get it. But again, like he was up earlier last season than anticipated. This year, there have been some injury factors that I think are at play. He still is really young, so it's not fully give up on Bobby Miller just yet.
Not fully give up on Bobby Miller. You and Blake, man, it's positive vibes only, I guess. So there you go. I'll let Matt speak for us tonight then. Blake and Matt not giving up on Bobby Miller yet. There you go. Doom Sal, Rushing can't come up. He was not added to the 40-man roster before September 1st. Dodgers have to go to the commissioner to add him. The quick correction on this one, because the way that Major League Baseball words this is not super helpful. He just has to be in the organization, does not have to be on the 40-man roster prior to September 1st. So he was in the organization, so they don't have to worry about this. Rushing is eligible for the postseason roster if he were to be called up. So I think, again, the way that this is worded is not super helpful, but 40-man rosters, that's what that means. Hawaiian Kira wants to know, does Ohtani get to 50-50? Matt, on positive vibes only night, do you want to reiterate your 49-50 prediction, or do you want to change your mind?
For the sake of the theme of tonight's show, I'll say yes, he gets there. Ask me again. I think I'm hosting tomorrow night with Anthony, so ask Hawaiian Kira if you're there with us. Ask me tomorrow night after another game.
Of course he's getting to 50-50. Come on, folks. 51-51. Pencil it in. Christopher wants to know, if the Dodgers can't win it all this year, is there any team you would root for to win? Most choices are bad, but I wouldn't mind Baltimore or Cleveland. I was going to try and pull up the MLB standings. Let's see. So we've got right now in the postseason, Yankees, Guardians, Orioles, Royals, Astros, Twins in the AL, Phillies, Dodgers, Brewers, Padres, Diamondbacks, Mets in the NL. Let's be honest. We're crossing off every National League team here. We're crossing off the Yankees. We're crossing off the Astros. That leaves the Guardians, the Orioles, the Royals, or the Twins, Matt. Guardians, Orioles, Royals, or Twins?
Yeah, I'm not necessarily rooting for anybody else to win. It would be more of, I don't want to see the Padres, Diamondbacks, or Astros win.
Okay.
Outside of that, like I don't want to see them win. Outside of that, I probably wouldn't really care. Even if it ends up being the Yankees, like whatever, it's fine.
I mean, Royals or Twins, those are two teams I have no real strong feeling. I mean, the Royals won one recently, so maybe the Twins. I got a buddy who lives in Minneapolis. Shout out to Kevin. So go Twins. And that was my first baseball team I was ever on. My first Little League team was a Twins, and I am a Twin, Matt. So it's like, how could I not be rooting for the Twins?
Yeah, maybe we need to launch a Minnesota Twins website for you then, and have you do some Twins coverage over there.
I will say my buddy Kev wears the DodgerHeads t-shirt. He wears it everywhere. He said he gets questions about it. He got 3 questions at the soccer game on Saturday. So he's got some black market merch. That's all I'm saying. But he's getting some compliments. So he's doing the Lord's work for us over there. Let's see some other questions here. Jason wants to know, can each of you advise me of a dark horse pitching hero for the postseason? I mean, I feel like we just got one from Matt. Bobby Miller, is that your dark horse pitching hero?
It was more of, don't give up on Bobby Miller's career. 2024 is done. Like he's
up on.
Yes, he should not be making another start for the Dodgers this year. Dark horse pitching hero. I think I would go with somebody in the bullpen, but then it also needs to be somebody that I'll go Brazier.
Wow. Okay. I mean, if you had to guess who I'm going to say right here.
Are you going starter?
Well, I was going to. I mean, every part of my heart wants to say Kershaw, and everyone's going to get pissed at me for saying that.
Well,
Here, I'll give you one. Tony Gonsolin. He's gonna give them some good innings. I've always been the high man on Gonsolin too. I know it. I'm just saying.
But Gonsolin's not coming back.
No, he's coming back.
Oh.
Starter, baby. Game 4 starter, Matt. Pencil it in.
Well, see, that's why I think Ryan Brazier would be an opener in that scenario, and then Gonsolin would give him 2 or 3 innings, and so then we could come back and say, "Hey,
there you go,
dark horse, Jason. We gave you some good picks there."
Lucas and Sadie, will any Dodger starter go more than 5 frames in the playoffs? Yes. Well, let me rephrase this. Will any Dodger starter other than Jack Flaherty go more than 5 frames in the playoffs?
Yes.
Okay, Yamamoto?
Yes. And okay. I think Buehler sneaks in like a 5 1/3, 5 2/3.
I'm with you. I think, yeah.
Just to add on one thing, because we didn't get to do Sunday show with Buehler. That was Scott and Blake who did a great job. And thank you, everybody who joined them. One thing that I thought watching Buehler in Atlanta was, I think that setting and environment, he was amped up with it. And I think that makes a factor. And so you put him in the playoffs, already being a competitive pitcher and somebody who has openly said, I know I'm not pitching well. I know I need to be better. I want to help. Put him in that setting. I think we could see good things from him.
I need to change my Twins rooting, by the way, because I was just reminded that Carlos Correa is on that team. So with apologies to my guy, I think that makes me a Royals fan. Are there any Astros on the Royals I need to know about?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. All right. Go Royals. Confirmed. Apologies to everyone. I know Scott's a big Correa fan, but there we go. And people did guess that I was going to guess Kershaw, by the way. So shout out to the people that know me very, very well. Some more questions here. Eric wants to know, should we let Glasnow just debut in August for the next 5 years? Just August, September, ramp up, and then ready for the postseason in October? What do you think?
No, I mean, I get the sentiment, but there's no real science to how to protect pitchers. And if there was, the Dodgers would be at the forefront of doing that, because they would sign 30 pitchers and just rotate them however they needed.
If this weren't a positive vibes only show, Matt, I would suggest that he might be debuting in August next year anyway. So, you never know here. Anyways, moving on. Larry, it's a positive vibe. So I wasn't saying that. I was just saying if it different night. Yeah.
Of course.
Larry says, how many starters are needed for a 7-game series? Who can make 2 starts of 5+ innings in a series? This is the other storyline that kind of got hinted at today with Yamamoto, which is he will not be pitching. Did they say on normal rest?
Yeah, so this is the second time. Dave Roberts said this. Maybe it might have been June or July, honestly. It was a couple months ago. He was asked, which of his starters could he see pushing in the playoffs and starting on regular rest, stuff like that. And Tyler Glasnow was the only one he named. And obviously that was well before Glasnow's injury. I think it was even before his back injury. So it might have been in June. Or maybe it was right after he came back. Anyway, a couple months ago. And so Dave again tonight reiterated that yes, Yamamoto is not going to start on regular rest. Now, regular rest, for generally speaking, for MLB purposes, is starting every 5th day.
Yeah.
Regular rest for the Dodgers is starting at least every 6th, maybe 7th day in some cases. Now, I did, when Dave said that, I was kind of mapping stuff out. So
there we go. Look at Matt. Matt busting out some spreadsheets, pencil, and the eraser. Let's go.
Yeah. So if Yamamoto starts game 1 of the NLDS, that's on October 5th. If that goes to a game 5, he could start it because of off days in the schedule now. That's not until the 11th. So that would be giving him kind of the extra rest for normal terms, but his regular rest, which the Dodgers haven't started Yamamoto on regular rest throughout the season because of getting him acclimated to pitching more than, basically once a week in Japan and all that. Where it gets tricky is if it does go to that game 5 in the NLDS, then Yamamoto can't start again until presumably October 17th. That is game 4 of the NLCS.
Okay.
And that
lines him up nicely for game 1 of the World Series.
Yes, that's the net. If the Dodgers can somehow withstand that, Yamamoto then is ready for game 1 of the World Series, which is October 25th. He could then start, if it goes to a game 6, that's November 1st, or he could start game 7, which would be November 2nd. So
Well, and when they don't lose any playoff games, you have to factor that into your equation too, Matt. And so he'll just be on like 8 games rest for game 1 of the World Series, you know?
Yes, if the Dodgers can just go into October with a plan to sweep, then that would be that I would definitely advise that they do exactly that, just to eliminate a lot of the juggling act with him.
But to answer Larry's question here, it does sound like even with Yamamoto's extra rest, they would be able to get by with a 4-man rotation. Because if he
I
pitched
believe
game
so,
1,
yeah.
game 5, and then game 4, there's nowhere in there where you would need a 5th starter, presumably.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully, you don't have somebody go like 2 innings or something, but yes, they should be able to get through with 4 starters.
Jonathan looking ahead to next year with a fresh start on health next year. I mean, don't get your hopes up. They started the year with what? Sheehan, May, Gonsolin, and Frasso all on the injured list. So don't get your hopes up. Do you see them employing a 6, maybe 7-man rotation to maximize rest and prevent injuries? They tried a 6-man rotation this year, so I would say yes to that. The problem with 7 is then you only have 6 bullpen arms, which won't work. So 6 feels like you're pushing it depending on the schedule, but I would be shocked if it's anything short of a 6-man rotation to start next season.
Yeah, especially if you're factoring in that Ohtani would be part of the rotation at that point. They're going to want to make sure he gets extra rest. But the other part too, on top of a 7-man rotation, shortening you in the bullpen, it also just throws your other starters completely off their routines, and that's hard to ask of them.
Yeah. The Rockies just walked off the Diamondbacks, I'm being told. So shout out to the Rockies. Noisy Ninja wants to know, there was a couple starts where they let Glasnow go over 100 pitches. Did they push him too much, especially knowing he was going to pitch more innings than he has in his career? I mean, hindsight is 2020 here, Matt, but do you feel like the Dodgers pushed their luck with Glasnow, knowing that he was setting a career high in innings and starts and all that?
Not really. Nothing necessarily comes to mind where I felt like, hey, why is he still in this game? What are they doing? I will say what did surprise me, and it was while Glasnow was still recovering and before we got the news that he wouldn't return this year, was the Jack Flaherty afternoon start at Dodger Stadium when it was really hot, and they rode him out there for it ended up being like 8 innings, I think.
Yeah, it was a lot.
That shocked me because I'm thinking, hey, like you're short on starting pitchers right now. Like let's maybe not keep pushing, one of your workhorses who's still available.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. All right. Well, I have a food question here for you, Matt, and I believe you were the one that prompted this. And first of all, happy early National Cheeseburger Day, which is Wednesday. We celebrate early birthdays in my household. My daughter felt like if we celebrate Christmas Eve, why would we not celebrate our birthday Eve? And so the day before your birthday in the Spiegel house is officially called your early birthday. So happy early National Cheeseburger Day. I'm going to pause this question after all that setup because we do have a super chat that's probably a better question than the one I'm about to ask you. He said 1 out of 100 chance the Dodgers could land Max Fried in free agency ? Any chance, Matt? It's got to be higher than 1 in 100, right?
It is higher than that. I'd say maybe it's 15% chance or so, maybe 20 at the most. Well, that might be high. I'd say 10 to 15% chance.
I think between Fried or Flaherty, like I think the Dodgers will end up with a pitcher in that mold, if you will. And so I think Flaherty, just because of him already being in there and they know what they're getting out of him, my guess is they would probably just prefer that. I would guess he's a little less expensive than Fried, but I would imagine it's one of those. But if it is Flaherty, who I would say is more likely, so higher than 1 out of 100 would be my answer there, Peyton. All right. Thank you for the super chat. We greatly appreciate that again. Okay. National Cheeseburger Day. You sent me some Instagram link that lists 6 National Cheeseburger Day deals. One of these is clearly better than the other. Although I will say there's no reason you can't do all 6 of these unless you're me and you live near like 4 of the 6. Okay. So the 6 deals that crazy coupon lady, free pub for her on Instagram. There is a free cheeseburger at Burger King with any $1 purchase. There is a 1-cent junior bacon cheeseburger at Wendy's with any purchase. 50% off cheeseburgers at Carl's Jr. So I think you could just get like 10 cheeseburgers and they're all 50% off. Buy one, get one free sliders at White Castle. 50% double cheeseburger at McDonald's, no purchase necessary. And then a $5 classic singles at Smashburger. I'll admit I haven't had Smashburger. So I've had a Smashburger, not from there. Of Burger King, Wendy's, Carl's, McDonald's, White Castle, where are you going first on National Cheeseburger Day, Matt?
Well, so, and I know we have the advantage, so I apologize to our viewers and listeners of like kind of having pictures. Are we assuming that like these are the actual burger? Like I'm not going to go to Carl's Jr. and get 50% off like a double Western bacon cheeseburger, right?
Right. It has to be just the regular cheeseburger. Or in
I'm
the
do
case of Wendy's, it's the junior bacon cheeseburger.
Okay. I'm doing the free one at Burger King.
You're going Burger King?
Burger King, like
That's
they're
fourth on my list of 4. White Castle, Smash Burger off the list. Burger King is literally fourth on my list.
the problem. So this picture, it says, oh, actually, I might do the McDonald's one. I thought it was the McDouble, but it's the actual double cheeseburger with the extra cheese, which I love cheese, and so I can't do a McDouble. I revised my answer to.
Okay.
I'm doing the double cheeseburger from McDonald's.
So I think that's a good choice. I think that should be second place on here. The junior bacon cheeseburger from Wendy's is an absolute classic. Absolute classic. So that's an easy number 1 for me. Double cheeseburger. I'm with you. You could talk me into the double cheeseburger. That's a tier of itself. I can't believe you had Burger King ahead of the junior bacon cheeseburger and Carl's. I've never had a cheeseburger at Carl's or at Burger King, but I would trust Carl's over Burger King.
I think Burger King, their Whoppers are pretty good.
I like the Whopper. I'm with you. I just haven't had the
like
plain cheeseburger.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I've had their rodeo cheeseburger, which has like the onion ring on it, which is good. So I assume their regular cheeseburger would be the same sort of style, just without the onion ring. Yeah, I think Burger King is fine. Like Burger King is. I don't go there on a regular basis. It has to be like, oh, I'm kind of craving a Whopper for whatever reason. I'm gonna go get one.
A Whopper's good. I'll be honest. I like the chicken fries. It's a nice little innovation. But I mean, that's still. Blake said, by the way, he quote tweeted the cheeseburger tweet and said that peanut butter is the best condiment on burgers. And I've said peanut butter sauce. There's a place called Killer Burger. I don't know if it's a chain that goes all the way down to California. They have a peanut butter burger. It's very good. The number 1 condiment is insane. So
yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I would want peanut butter on my burger to begin with, and it's definitely not the number 1 condiment.
Crap. Somebody said Yuli Gurriel plays for the Royals, so we've got another Astro on him. I mean, I guess so. What are we down to? The Orioles and the Guardians. I like Jose Ramirez. We're gonna go Guardian. Yeah.
Sorry, that's why my approach of just not the Diamondbacks, not the Padres. I mean, I guess now I need to add more teams to it. So I wasn't my answer wasn't going to work either.
Yeah, and I see people saying In and Out is the choice. Yes, if given, this graphic only gives me 6 choices. Red Robin has some sort of special. I got an email about it. I think it's like $10 for any of their signature burgers or something like that. I think that might be all week. So shout out to the Dirty Bird there. Yeah, I mean, look, I think we're all on the same page on the Habit, right? I feel like the Habit gets crapped on every time we talk about burgers on this show. David says, had to have it tonight. It was meh. Should have gone to In and Out. Yes, you always should have gone to In and Out.
Yeah, definitely.
We had a real question in here. Kenny, go for Adames or figure someone currently on the team for shortstop next season. I mean, Miguel Rojas wins player of the game, Matt, and we're already dumping him next season. It's a 9-figure contract Matt's ready to give the guy.
I mean, the Dodgers do have a very team-friendly option on his deal that should be exercised tonight. If we're being honest, like it should have happened already. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I would necessarily spend.
Yeah, $5 million the club option for Miguel Rojas next year.
I don't know if I would necessarily spend a lot at shortstop, just because I think between Rojas and Edman, you could fill it.
Yeah. 100%.
So it's not necessarily what I honestly I would probably spend on pitching, which sounds kind of funny considering the offseason.
They got $1 million.
What's his name? Sasaki isn't going to cost that much. So
what's his name? I love it. I mean, look, Edman could play center field. The Dodgers obviously have to figure something out. They do have a guy, Alex Freeland, down in OKC, who's not going to be ready next year, but he could potentially be a 2 years away guy at shortstop. If the progression continues. So not that you bank on that, but I think what's nice is they have something in Edman and Rojas. And if a guy like Adames is available, if Ha-Sung Kim is available and the numbers are right, and you can plug them in at shortstop and move Edman to center field, then all of a sudden you've got multiple problems solved. I think that's fair. But I think the nicest part about the Edman trade, which I was saying at the time, was the extra year of team control and just taking the pressure off of, oh my gosh, we have to desperately go get a shortstop. I don't think they're that desperate anymore. Although I think they could easily make it work. That's the beauty of versatility with Tommy Edman.
And I think if all else fails, you have Mookie, who's able to play shortstop again.
And Gavin Lux. Yeah, true.
Yes.
Peyton, yes, Matt agreed with me on that. Jeez Louise. Peyton, I'm convinced Blake has no taste buds. Yeah, presented without comment. No need to refute that one. So there we go. Let's see. Any more questions we have in here? Yeah, no more Lux wish casting. It's positive vibes only, folks. Okay, positive vibes only. I haven't given up on Outman. I see in the chat. Look, you're talking to the guy that's holding on to. He's not telling anybody about the Outman stock that he's got hiding down in the basement, but it's there. It's there. There's some Outman stock there. Yeah. Let's see. David, last one. In the offseason, do you think Friedman and Mookie sit down and see if he wants to give shortstop another shot with a full offseason and spring to prepare? What do you think, Matt?
I think they will sit down during the offseason, but I don't think it'll be to discuss shortstop. I think it'll be to figure out second base. And that's, Gavin Lux, I know he has kind of struggled again recently, but overall, like his second half has been encouraging, impressive even at times. And so, they will face some decision. Would it fully shock me if they trade Lux in a deal to get a pitcher, to get an outfielder? Not completely. And I don't know. Look, the Dodgers moved Mookie to second base initially because he signed to a long-term contract. They want to keep him healthy, keep, less wear and tear on his body type thing. I don't imagine that as he's now a year older, that those feelings went away. They're not going to say, oh, he's fine in right field, actually, our bad. Like, keep running out there. Or maybe they will. But I'm not necessarily anticipating that. So it makes it a little bit of an interesting offseason for Lux. And, I know there were a lot of people who thought he wouldn't even be on the team at this point in the season, considering how things were going. So credit to him for turning it around. But yeah, that's going to be sort of interesting to see how that develops.
Come on. Lux is playing well, folks. Why are we trading the guy? Why are we trading him? I think my guess, they're going to look at the situation and it's going to be clear. Hey, we have a guy who can play second base, who hit the ball well, who doesn't cost us very much. We don't have to go out and play the free agency game or trade for somebody to go play second base. Mookie play right. Gavin Lux play second base. Kick the can down the road a year, 2 years, see what happens. That's my guess. That's my guess.
And I don't think that would be the most surprising outcome or egregious by any means, but I mean, it's just, look, they were very clear about wanting to preserve Mookie's health and future. And so, again, like those feelings, I don't imagine just go away after 1 year.
Yeah, but Mookie says he just wants to win. He doesn't care where he plays, So whose word are we taking on this one? That's the real question. All right, everybody. We appreciate you joining us here. 2,700 people live on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. If you are not already, go find Dodger Blue 1958 on social media, on Twitter, Instagram, wherever you are. Please give us a follow on YouTube right here. Subscribe, ring the notification bell. Live shows 5 to 6 nights a week. Early shows every morning as well. So we appreciate you guys being loyal supporters of this. Like, comment. We appreciate all that. If you're a podcast person, again, the DodgerHeads podcast, we are on Apple, we're on Spotify, we're on Google. So go ahead, find us, rate, review. We'll greatly appreciate it. That is Matthew Moreno. I am Jeff Spiegel. The Dodgers win 9-0. They split a series with the Braves and head to Florida to play the Marlins tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of your night, everyone. As always, go Dodgers.